Good evening, Vixens fans, and welcome to Vixens Live. My name's Pete Laser. Once again, a pleasure to be your host as we come together to celebrate all things Melbourne Vixens. I do trust that you're staying well, staying healthy, and staying safe, and at least we have some great netball and a great netball team to support. Vixens Live show is proudly brought to you every Thursday night throughout the Suncorp Super Netball season on Facebook and YouTube. And if you haven't already, make sure you tell your friends and family to get on at 7 o'clock every Thursday for a look at the inner sanctum and all things Melbourne Vixens. Tonight's show is proudly brought to you once again by Puma Netball. You've got to see it to believe it. And of course, the brand new Witness Fearless campaign. Every week on Vixens Live, I'm joined by a special co-host. And we have had some of the biggest names in netball that have joined me over the past month. But tonight, we're changing things up and getting someone who's already played 38 tests for Australia, but has many, many more in front of her and is an absolute linchpin in defence for the Melbourne Vixens. We're going with a current player. It's a very warm welcome straight from the hub to Jo Weston. Jo, good evening and welcome to Vixens Live.
Thanks, Pete, for having me. It's they're big shoes to fill, I think, about your past co-host, but I'm going to try my best to step up to the plate.
Well, you've been doing it on court. In fact, you've been doing it with all your teammates as well. What a start to the season. We know it's a different type of season, but 6-1 with a healthy percentage, sitting on top of the ladder, it's the best place to be. How have you found the season thus far?
Yeah, it's been really interesting. I guess we're halfway through now, which feels a bit surreal because we've been playing so many games in a short span of time. But I think every club's in the same situation, so we're just trying to focus on recovery and be as efficient as possible with our time, which I'm kind of liking because that's the way I like to live my life anyway. So it suits me to a T.
Play a very physical game, and teams are playing a physical game against the Vixens as well. You're finding that the 2 games a week are really quite challenging this year compared to the one a week where it took a fair bit to recover from every other season.
Yeah, I think those of us who have played in tournaments in the past are used to probably playing multiple games in a week, but not for this sustained period of time. Normally that would only go for about 2 weeks, whereas this is going for about 2 months. So, I mean, we're really lucky to have such an amazing support crew, both here in Brisbane with us and back home in Melbourne, getting us through all the way. And also our extended Vixen squad with us here up in Brisbane, which is just helping make everything feel even better, I think.
Something you may not have been used to has been thrown around the court a little bit. Certainly, Simone's been playing with Kate Eddy and yourself, swapping at wing defence and goal defence. How have you found the change? And do you have a preferred position that you like to play?
It's been amazing having Kate Eddy back in our defensive fold. She was a training partner with us for a few years before joining the Swifts, which we don't begrudge her at all. And she's just fitted in so seamlessly to our defensive end. And I think having the ability for us to switch between the two is really effective and gives us a lot of variety in our defensive end. And I don't know, I don't have a preference per se at the moment. I feel like playing wing defence in the last 5 minutes of each quarter where there's not as much pressure in the super shot might be a good place to be. But, you know, being out on court is just a real pleasure and a real privilege. So either will do me. I'll play centre or goalkeeper. It doesn't bother me.
We've already got those positions covered, but it's great to see the flexibility in the side. That's the netball side taking care of things. What about hub life? It is a completely different way of life, no doubt, and everyone's in it together, as you say. How are you finding hub life? How are you keeping yourself busy, or how are you switching off? Because I know you love your netball, but you also love your time away. Talk us through your hub life and a usual week, if there is such a thing.
Yeah, it's probably been a bit confusing because none of us really know what day of the week it is occasionally. I mean, most of the time it's just dictated whether we're staying in Brisbane's CBD. So if there are people around, it's definitely a weekday. If it's empty, it's most likely a weekend. But it's really good. Most people know that I'm sharing with Emily Mannix, and she is tolerating my behaviour for the time being. And, you know, we have a really good friendship off the court. So I think that's helping us get some balance. But I'm very fortunate as well to have a few friends that live here in Brisbane. So I've been able to catch up with them in a socially distant way, which has been a real silver lining, I think, to being up here in the Sunshine State.
And you're also studying, I believe, at the moment. I can see a beautifully placed microphone behind you. I'm not sure what you're studying, whether it be singing or seeing the dancing, but what are you studying? How are you finding that balance? Because, of course, with the condensed season, it is very full-on netball. How are you finding fitting in study amongst all of it?
Yeah, so I'm still doing a Masters of Communication at Deakin University, which I started at the beginning of this year. So it was good timing, I think, with what has happened across the globe, because when we were in lockdown originally, I was doing 2 subjects, which gave me a lot to focus on. And now I'm just doing 1 subject for the time being. It's all about activism and social change, which is very relevant probably as to what's happened in current events over the last few months as well. So I'm really enjoying it. I've got a few assignments that are coming up, so I'm trying to get on top of those for the time being.
Well, we won't keep you too long, although what you say is relevant to what we saw during the Suncorp Super Netball broadcast last week. Tell your peers, think there might be an off-court change for you coming up. Let's take a look at the segment now.
The netballer that I think will be the PM of Australia in the future, and I actually think it will happen, is Jo Weston.
I think Jo Weston's probably a likely candidate.
I feel like this one's so easy and everyone would have said the same person, but Jo Weston, you can't go past her, she's so smart.
I would say Jo Weston will probably become Prime Minister. She doesn't back down, let's just say that.
Jo Weston.
Jo Weston.
Jo Weston gives off a Prime Minister vibe. She seems very well-spoken.
Joanna Weston is going to be the next Prime Minister of Australia. Easily. The next one. She'll do it while she's playing netball. That's how good she is.
Oh, hands down, Jo Weston. She has studied finance, she worked for Deloitte. She is very charming and she's very smart, very eloquent, and she would make a great female Prime Minister for us.
I'm Jo Weston and I endorse this message.
About that. I love the spirit in which it's taken. They are playing from all over the country, and even some of the imports are saying, the captain of Australian Netball Diamonds is saying the same thing. Jo, talk us through. Is this a career path for you, perhaps?
I know, that's it's high praise. When they asked me to film that little quip at the end, just a couple of days before our game against the Giants, I just assumed it would have been Vixens team members that had been saying that it would be me, but it was from people all across the league and across the world, which is quite flattering. Yeah, so maybe if the people, got to give the people what they want, Pete. If that's what they want, who knows where I'll end up post-netball. So I guess I'll keep my options open for the time being. Very political way to answer that question.
You're going to get a lot of votes. Don't worry about that. You're already in front of pretty much every politician we know. Great to have you here. I even saw some Twitter responses, Instagram responses from current sitting members who said, give me a call, get on. Every side's going to want Jo Weston. Let's get into an episode of Vixens Live. We spoke of the Giants game. There's been 2 games that we can review since our last Vixens Live. The first of those was against the Giants, and we knew that they were going to come out firing, but the wonderful all-court performance from the Vixens saw us get away with a 5-goal win, 63-58. It's always a tough battle with the Giants. And they were going to long break just ahead, but we dominated the third quarter, held on for the remainder of the match. 94% efficiency from our shooters. They were dominant, which was a sensation. And our co-captain, Kate Maloney, awarded Nissan's Player of the Match for the 3rd time in the first 6 rounds. Jo, talk us through this elevation of who was already a fantastic player and a great leader, but it just seems that she's gone to that next level, playing 2 games a week.
Yeah, Kate is super fit, as you all know, and she leads with a lot of passion out on court. And I think, you know, our mid-court's always been the real engine of our team out on court. And with the addition of Kate Eddy, both Kates have been working very well defensively, and then you know, she's really making her way with Lizzie in attack and having a real impact and turning over ball in the middle of the court defensively, which is really awesome because it makes our job much easier if she can just intercept the ball before it gets into the goal third.
I was going to say it was a really good defensive effort with UNM in the circle with Kira Austin, of course, Joe Harton. Did you expect to see the Australian skipper, Caitlin Bassett, out there at all? Was it a bit of a different plan? What were you prepared for going into the game?
Yeah, I think Kira shot really well during that game, so that was probably one of the biggest issues for us defensively. I was surprised not to see Seabass at one point, maybe with Kira playing out the front at goal attack, but with obviously Jo's their captain and she's their real leader in the attack, and so having her out on court is also critical for the Giants. So I think they're probably trying to weigh up what's the best option for them in attack. But I mean, who knows what would have happened, but it probably was a surprise not to see Seabass on court at all during that game.
I suppose you can only look after our own combinations and then be prepared for every combination that comes up against it. The combination we took on in round 7 was the Adelaide Thunderbirds. And this is a different sort of season, as we know, but nothing more weird than facing a side just 9 days after we faced them in round 4, the only team to defeat us, another physical encounter. I was a little bit worried at quarter time, but we got the chocolates in the end, 50-43, and it was really a game of defence. As you can tell by that scoreline, 50-43. Emily Mannix, Nissen, player of the match, with incredible 8 intercepts. That's a fantastic effort. You do say that it is a full court and certainly a mid-court defence, which helps, but 8 intercepts in the game. She was 3rd in the league last year. That's an outstanding individual performance.
Yeah, it's a pretty good tally for just one game. I don't even think I've got those stats in the season to date. So I probably have a little bit of work cut out for me out on court to match that. But she's actually just left, so I can talk her up now without making her feel secondhand embarrassment. But she had such a phenomenal game, and, you know, you're playing on a really experienced international goal shooter in Poet Gator out the back, and she plays a little bit unorthodox with her shot, but she's a really strong holder of space and a really accurate goal shooter. So I think Em had incredible footwork and really great timing and really was able to capitalise on the defensive pressure we built across the court, which is something I think is really trademark of our defensive style.
And not for the first time. I mentioned a physical encounter. It certainly was last night. How have you pulled up? How have the team pulled up? And how are you looking ahead of this weekend's big games that are coming up?
Yeah, I was just talking to the team physio, actually, and I don't think I fell over yesterday, which is always a good sort of tracker as to how I probably will pull up from a game. But I'm feeling fine. I think everyone's feeling okay. It's probably just about managing the cumulative fatigue of playing so many games in a short period of time to make sure we're still able to be really dynamic and strong out on court when it counts.
Also means that it's not just the 7 on court, it's everyone who's ready to go, and the rolling substitutions playing a big role this year. Let's take a look at the ladder as it stands after round 7. As you mentioned a little bit earlier, Joe, it is halfway through our home and away games, or should I say away and away games, and we're sitting pretty on top. 6 wins and 1 loss to the Thunderbirds see us on top with a really healthy percentage of almost 118. Of course, the Swifts, which is going to be a big game coming up this weekend, are also sitting on 6 and 1. It's a really interesting ladder at the moment. We also like seeing Collingwood in that ladder as well. This is going to be a big game Saturday afternoon at Nissan Arena. We'll look forward to it shortly, but that's the ladder as it stands after round 7. Now, every week on Vixens Live, we love to delve a little bit deeper into Camp Vixens. Now, you're living it, Joe. Some of us are just looking at what's happening from the outside. Talk us through your roommate, Em, and we know that you two are great mates and you hold the defensive circle well together when you're on court. But some of these TikToks, some of this dancing, these things you're coming up with, you look like you're enjoying yourself, if nothing else, whilst you've been up in quarantine and now, of course, in the hub.
Yeah, it's been really fun. I think we've found a really good location where we're settled now and it feels like home, and we're able to have really close proximity. So Emily and I are sharing a room or sharing an apartment, and everyone else who's sharing is really close by, so we're able to visit. And, you know, I think we're having Mexican for dinner after this. Group-wise, we're on entrees, which I'm quite happy about because it did say salsa in brackets, which I'm assuming means I can just open a jar and put it in a bowl, which for me, cooking, tick. I'm much more of a baker when it comes to skills in the kitchen, but Emily and I are really balancing each other out quite well. She's obviously used to having lots of family around because she lives with her parents and her brothers and sisters down the coast, whereas I'm used to living pretty much by myself or with my dog or up on the farm. So it's a little bit different in terms of just getting used to that dynamic, but we're finding it works pretty well for us.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're going to qualify for any cooking class or master chef if you're just opening a jar of salsa and saying that's entree. But it's always very nice. And as we know, keeping things simple, certainly in these times, is probably not the worst. We love having the camp clown. We always follow M. Mannix around anytime we can. We gave her the camera, which is always dangerous this week, and we're going to check out some of MJ's hairdos. Let's take a look at Camp Vixens.
It's a wool that I use.
Wool? What's your hair?
Do you know when you are sewing something?
Yeah.
What do you use?
String?
Yeah, that's too much, but this is just like big size, no? This is just big size. That's what I use for my baby.
You've got a shoelace in your hair, MJ. I'll see ya. Hi, sister.
Hi.
What's this one called today?
What can I say this one?
The high afro.
Afro.
Show me the back. Give me a spin. Oh, pretty.
What's it called when you go like that?
Mohawk.
Yeah!
Beautiful, sister.
Oh, thanks so much, sister.
Love you.
That's so sweet.
Oh, what do you call this?
This is like a Botswana South African hairstyle.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Thank you. It was so nice.
Oh, stop it. Give me a look at the back, sorry. Hey, look at that.
Party at the front and party at the
Yeah. MJ, new hairstyle. What do you call this? Oh, afro. Afro. I like it. The mushroom. Thanks, mate. Is this your favourite?
Yes, it's easy.
Easy, yeah. How many times do you have to comb it?
Only 2 minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes? That's quick. Well done. Oh, hey sister, new hairstyle.
Yeah, new hairstyle.
What do you call this one?
This is just afro, and I didn't put a band.
Oh, no band.
So it's just, you know, you
Looks
get
like a lid.
always different style.
Oh, there's a lot of air in this. Like the amount of air that you get when you jump up high.
I'm trying to put my seatbelt, but
You didn't hear me, did you?
no, I didn't.
I like this.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
You're so kind.
You're welcome. To show this setup. Saw neck coming at you.
Emily, give us a twirl. Give us a model.
That is unbelievable. I mean, I think the only thing better than MJ's hair is her big smile. It's great to see you having a bit of fun, though. You do need those light-hearted moments, though, don't you, Joe?
Oh my God, MJ's multitude of hairstyles is running entertainment for us. We do ask permission, obviously, before touching it. But she also brought a few wigs with her, which have been fun for some people to wear. Emily wears that wig all the time. Like, it's a bit weird, actually, but that's okay. I'm not surprised if you don't see her playing in it next game or something like that.
Whatever works, whatever's going to make you comfortable and court, and make sure MJ's nice and comfortable as well. Great to see an insight into a bit of fun, a bit of light-hearted fun with the Vixens away from the netball court. Back on to the court and the more serious matter we had, thanks to Puma last week, the Witness Fearless campaign. Last weekend's win over the Giants was the launch of the Witness Fearless campaign in conjunction with Puma and the Melbourne Vixens. You may have seen the team sporting some amazing Witness Fearless warm-up shirts prior to the game, and then most notably on the front of the dresses that they wore throughout the weekend. Witness Fearless is a rally call to netball fans all over the country to come together in support of the sport for the rest of the 2020 season. Let's open our eyes to the doubters and change the narrative. Netball is a fearless sport, as we all know, those of us that love it. And this campaign challenges everyone to witness the fearlessness of netball and reconsider the assumptions. In case you missed it, here's a glimpse of what Witness Fearless is all about.
Ride with me, all my girls with me. All my girls bossy ride with me, I'm a savage. All my girls bossy, if they want it, they can have
Witness Fearless. What a powerful campaign. My co-host here, Joe, you know a fair bit about the campaign. You also know a fair bit about Witness Fearless. Don't worry about it. What does it mean to you to have that on your dress and to warm up and know that you are inspiring not just young girls and boys around Australia, but really a conversation of the netball community to come together?
Yeah, it's been really amazing actually. Like first and foremost, having a sponsor like Puma come on board has been phenomenal. You know, there's such a global brand and they carry a lot of weight, and netball obviously is sometimes considered more of a niche sport. So to have their support and their backing in this is really going to try and push netball even more into the mainstream. So I guess it's all about kind of engaging current netball fans, but also really trying to broaden up the netball audience and really entice people to come in and break down those old like sort of stereotypes about netball being a bit safe or, you know, a little bit more for schoolgirls, and come and watch what it's like in the big leagues and at a professional level and how physical and how developed we are as athletes. And it's about, making people seeing is believing, as the hashtag is. So we're really excited about it. I think it's been amazing to have it on the front of our dresses, and also just being able to live it out on court. The last few wins has been really great too.
But you do live it away from the court as well. You play with such an amazing and inspirational group of women, and anyone who's been to the netball, we've seen it. We've seen it on the court. Away from the court, tell us something about the girls that we don't know, something that our Vixens family would love to know about one or two of the girls that you play with.
Oh, I mean, that's so tough, really. I think what's been really fabulous about the complete weirdness of this season is having so many of our Vixens squad and training partners come on board with us. So for someone like Elle McDonald, who debuted a couple of weeks ago, she's got such a phenomenal story about working her way up through VNL and then ANL and joining us in the Vixens, probably what would be considered at a quite mature age than most of us join the team historically and make our debut. So something like that about people, you know, who live and breathe both working and playing netball at the same time and, you know, performing to a really high standard is something that's really special.
You've played netball for a long time. You've grown up playing it, now playing at the elite level, and of course with the Diamonds as well. Do you ever get frustrated with some of the perceptions away from the netball community about the sport that you've chosen to play and represent our country and our wonderful team in the Vixens? Do you ever get a bit frustrated with it?
Probably not frustrated. I mean, I think some people can be not skeptical, but they can judge before they've actually come to a game, especially in person, or watched a game on TV. And that's always a little bit difficult because it feels like they're not giving it a chance at all. But, you know, netball has so many real benefits in terms about, you know, female participation. And I think that's something we're really lucky about in terms of public perception, because obviously we have a men's netball league, but it's not in the media sphere like women's netball is. So we don't have that direct comparison to a male competition like a lot of other female athletes have to go through in the media. So, I mean, that's a real benefit, I think, to playing a sport like netball. So there's always pros and cons to both of it, but I love the sport. Netball for me is number one about female friendships, but number two, it's the ultimate team sport, really. You can't, everyone contributes equally. I mean, not with the super shot, which is another issue I don't like with it, but, you know, it's about everyone, you know, contributing and bringing them to be the best for the team. And that's something I think that is really unique to netball.
You're a great leader, we know that, and Puma have been a fantastic leader with this in conjunction with the Melbourne Vixens. And there's a really special prize on offer as well through the Instagram handles of Puma AU and Melbourne Vixens. And Joe, you're actually involved in the prize, which is something you can't say to many people, a $1,000 Puma voucher and an exclusive Zoom call with yourself. How can people win this prize? And are you allowed to enter more than once? Because I know that I've gone in 3 or 4 times. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, you just have to follow the page and then find the competition post within the feed and then tag a mate to be in with a chance to win. You've got to enter by this Saturday, though. And, yeah, you can win a $1,000 Puma voucher, which I feel like is probably the more highly valued half of the prize, but the second half is also a 30-minute Zoom call with yours truly, potentially in this podcast studio I've set up above the Brisbane city.
I like it. And the reason that you can't compare the two is because yours is priceless. $1,000 Puma voucher is fantastic, but a priceless 30-minute call with Joe Weston, that is absolutely sensational. So if you want to win, as Joe said, make sure you get onto the Instagram page, tag in, mate. So it's Puma AU and Melbourne Vixens. And make sure you follow all the social channels as well. For Witness Fearless to have a meaningful impact, we need all of the netball community to get behind it. Unite, make our voices heard. Make sure you get behind this campaign. The hashtag is Witness Fearless, and of course through Puma AU and Melbourne Vixens Instagram pages. Before we look at the two games coming up in the next week, it seems to be happening every week at the moment. We've got a very special guest who is joining us tonight. It is our Jamaican defender extraordinaire. A big warm welcome to Katie Ann Dehaney. Katie, welcome to Vixens Live.
Thanks for having me. How are you?
Going very well. We're going as well as we can down here. How are you going? This has certainly been a different year. I'm not sure this is what you signed up for when they said come and play netball in Australia, but what a year it's been so far. How are you going and how are you finding hub life with your Melbourne Vixens teammates?
It's good, actually. I was saying to Simone when we had a one-on-one catch-up that I'm not used to this, but it's great. Like, I can visit different rooms and get different personalities at any time of the day, so it's good.
And Joe, you've got KD there with you. Talk us through some of the things that are happening up there that maybe us Vixens fan and the Vixens family don't know about. What's going on up there?
What's been going on? We've been doing some TikToks, which has been quite fun. We're doing a bit of cooking. Katie cooked a whole fish the other day, incomplete with eye still in it. Yeah. Which I think was a bit of a shock for Ali, who you're sharing with. Yeah. I don't know. I've cooked a whole fish before.
Yeah, with the eye.
I think so, but not in. I've only ever cooked it like outside, maybe on a barbecue, not in a small apartment.
That would have been smart because it was very fishy, afterwards. But
yeah, we have a Wii. So we've got Mario Kart. We haven't really been playing that too much since we got out of quarantine because there's so much else to do.
I did a few puzzles. Well, I did.
Puzzles?
I did a few puzzles.
I've got one on the ground actually down there. Another one. It's been really great actually. I mean, all of us live. A few of the girls live together back in Melbourne, but all of us live separately. So it's kind of just like being on one big away trip.
KD, you were over in Perth with a few of the other internationals, during our first sort of lockdown period. Then back to Melbourne, now up to Queensland. Who are you living with, or who are you rooming with at the moment? How are you finding it?
So at the moment, I'm rooming with Ali Smith. At the start, I room with Kate Eddy. So Ali Smith, it's definitely good to get to know all of everybody because I've never seen this bit of Ali before this. Not that it's bad, but it's good. Like, it's good to know everyone differently from off the court. It's good to know them differently on the court than off the court. So it's better. And it's good to know everybody off the court. So I'm definitely seeing a few insides of everyone. And as myself, I'm lit fun. I noticed that I listen to Rain these days to get to sleep, and I feel like it annoys Ali, but she knows that I need that to get to sleep.
White noise. Yeah, we haven't been getting much rain here in Brisbane. Yeah. So if you were down in Melbourne, you'd be sleeping like a baby at the moment, I think.
Yeah. But it's good.
And there's no reason to wake up as well. That's the other part. There's no reason to sort of get outside because you're not allowed outside. So down, you'd be very thankful that there's not much rain, but you're up there playing. Speaking of the playing, you're spending a lot of time on court as well, and the rolling substitutions and the condensed fixture means that everyone's getting a decent run. How are you feeling with a bit more game time and different combinations that you're working with on court?
Well, it's been good at training. I'm really enjoying training and being here. Rolling subs, it's something different. You have to be more aware of what's happening on the court and what's happening on the sidelines. And I really enjoyed it. It gives everyone an opportunity to get out on court. So it's really good.
And we saw a TikTok video last week, which was absolutely sensational, away from the court.
Yeah.
How's your dancing going? Are you the dancing queen of the Vixens? Because I heard Joe's a pretty good dancer, doesn't mind backing herself, and Emma Mannix as well. But KD, I think you might have them covered here. What are your thoughts on it?
Me, well, the TikTok. I just came up with that TikTok for everyone to have, like, to show everyone outside of the Vixens that everyone has a different personality, whether on the court or off the court, just to give like a little feedback or insight, as you'd say. But better dancer. I think I'm a better dancer, but Jo has good rhythm. I must give her that. And Emily's catching on to a few stuff, but she's not there yet, I think. But Jo's definitely. Jo has good rhythm. I have to give her that.
Thank you very much, Katie. My mum, who spent lots of money on dance lessons when I was a child, would be very happy to hear that coming out of your mouth.
And Jo, what insights have you got about KD? Obviously, you've known her for a couple of years now, but getting to know someone a little bit better, what insights have you found over the last month or two that maybe you didn't know, aside from the fish, of course?
That definitely was one revelation I probably wasn't prepared for. But I mean, I feel like we know each other very well. Katie likes to sleep a lot, which I'm quite envious of because I feel like I could always go for some more sleep. But you love the heat as well. So I feel like the Brisbane weather is a bit more forgiving for Katie, whereas I like the sunshine, but obviously I'm so fair that the endless sun is not as generous to me or not as kind to me as it is to others. But I'm trying to think what else. You guys have been doing quite a bit of cooking, haven't you?
Yeah. I haven't been doing that in Melbourne because Jodie, my roommate in Melbourne, cooks for me a lot. So.
You've been having to be self-sufficient. I've been having Emily cook for me a lot, which has been a complete change because normally the only other person I can ask is Billy, my dog, and I'm not really interested in just having like sticks for dinner. So.
Well, we did hear earlier on that your idea of a gourmet entree was opening a jar of salsa, Jo, so I'm pretty sure you're not going to win the MasterChef challenge.
Tonight.
Yes.
What are you? What dish are you on for Mexican?
I'm on chicken.
You're on chicken.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I trust the Jamaican in the team. Well, it might not end up being like Mexican. It might be Jamaican chicken.
No, Mexican.
And how do you look towards the second half of the season? I mean, unbelievably, we're halfway through already, KD. How do you look towards the second half of the season, the focus, but also making sure that you are doing the fun little things away from the court, so keeping that balance? How are you looking forward to the second half of the season?
Well, the first half of the season has been great, but we just have to dot our I's and cross our T's. But I'm definitely really excited to see what we can do in the second half of the season. I'm really excited. I'm not sure about Jo, but I'm actually over the moon excited. But we just have to keep the focus on what we're doing defensively, attackingly, and just keep that connection through court, and we'll be fine.
Well, they always say you can't win the premiership in the first half of the year. You can lose it. You can only win it in the second half, and that's what we've got to focus on. Yeah. We're looking forward to seeing you out there, Kate. It's great to get a bit of an insight as to what's going on. Good luck with your Mexican/Jamaican chicken tonight. Great to have you joining us on Vixens Live. And as always, lots of love from Melbourne up there to you and the whole team.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you. And Jo, of course, I haven't had a chance to say it this year, but Katie Ann Dehaney, thanks for joining us. Great to have you here. I do miss certain parts of my job throughout the year. It's probably unfair, but Katie Ann's just got one of those great names you get to belt out.
You do. Yeah, you have a great name.
Really? I do miss that, though. I do.
I can yell it out for you next time if you want.
Yeah, cool.
So you just focus. In fact, both of you just focus on defending, and we'll worry about the rubbish after that. Everything's funny when we win. But great to have you, Katie. Thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again on Vixens Live later on in the season.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Pete.
Great to have you, Jo. Now you take over co-hosting roles by yourself once again, because as we do on Vixens Live, we look forward to the next couple of games. And every week we're now talking about 2 games, and it doesn't get much bigger than our one that's coming up on Saturday afternoon, 1 o'clock at Nissan Arena. It is the Melbourne Vixens taking on the New South Wales Swifts. Now, this is a top-of-the-table clash. Both sides sitting at 6-1 after round 7. So as we go for the turn, both teams 6-1. Unusually, though, haven't played each other this season as yet. Usually, you've played somewhere and then you play either home or away in the second half of the season. As we know, it's all been thrown up in the air, and they're doing a magnificent job with this condensed fixture. You can see it Saturday, 1 o'clock on Channel 9, live on Channel 9. Joe, this is the game we've been looking forward to. It's going to be a beauty.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty tough battle, I think, on Saturday. We have a long history with the Swifts, and they've probably had the upper hand in that over the last couple of years. So it's going to be a big game for us on Saturday, and I think the situation around both of us only having lost one game in them and them being the reigning premiers probably adds to that a little bit. So we're going to take a lot of confidence out of our performance over the first half of the season, but we've really got to show up on the day to get the job done because they're a very good side.
I mean, there's 7 other good sides, isn't there? And just anyone on their day can beat the other side. With this condensed fixture and having 2 games in a week, how hard is it to do your homework, if you like, certainly from a defender's point of view, do your homework on who you're coming up against and the combinations you're going to face when you've only got 2-3 days between games?
Yeah, I think a lot of us have been watching the other netball games as they've come on the television and the broadcast because we're all just netball nerds. But we've been really fortunate to have a few of our support staff based back in Melbourne, like Jamie and Cheryl McMahon, as some people may have heard of her before, and Susan Meany doing a bit of our analysis for us. They come back to us with a bit of a summary and then let us explore any of those specific points depending on the position we're playing on court or the opposition we might be coming up against. And it's probably, I mean, those of us who've been playing for a few years now probably know a few of the Swifts players quite well and what they like to do out on court and also the style of game they like to play as a team. So it's about trying to put all that together and then obviously focus on your own individual and team performance too.
It's going to be a big, big game Saturday afternoon, 1 o'clock. Watch it on Channel 9. Cheer us on from your couch. It is the Vixens and the Swifts, one of the more traditional rivals, if you like, of our netball competition. Then we face the Giants once again, and that's going to be on Tuesday night at 5 o'clock. 9 days after we played them the first time, we play them again. That's what the season is, and we can only come up against the sides that we can. And we've got the Giants once again. We're going to be able to see that on Telstra TV. It's going to be a big, big game again. And you know that when we've beaten these sides the first time around, as we did against the Thunderbirds, they're going to have as much, if not more, to play for that next time. Tuesday, 5 o'clock against the Giants. You got to back up and do it, Joe. How are we feeling about the Giants game?
Yeah, I think, I mean, we were down at halftime last time we played them, so you can see that they've got a lot of talent in their team. Like defensively, they're really physical, and then they've got the ability to really capitalise on that super shot with both Kira and Joe in the shooting circle. So, you know, we really, I think for us, that mid-court battle is really key to winning over the Giants, and that's something we were really able to capitalise on in that second half when we played against them. But just making sure that we're taking care and really converting off our turnovers as well, which is the key to winning any netball game. But it's harder than it is to say.
Oh, it's an easy game from the stands. I've been seeing that for 15 years. I don't envy the work you have to put in at all. Just quickly, though, a little bit different taking on the Swifts, who are 6-1 as well. But have you felt that there's a bit of a target building on the back of the Vixens and other sides will be coming and preparing themselves to take on the ladder leaders? Do you feel that as a player and as a club?
Probably not, just because we're, I guess, a little bit insulated and it's a different season to what traditionally would be running. But I feel like whenever you're sort of winning a lot of games, teams look at what is working successfully for you and they either try and, you know, target a defensive strategy to try and combat that, or, you know, look to implement something in their attack line which would stop our defensive structures from working really well. So for us, it's about having variety, but also different options to be out on court. And I think that rolling subs has really added to the game. And yeah, I mean, it comes with the territory to a degree, but every team, even the wins we've had, some of them have been so close. So it's kind of hard, I think, to really put a target on one specific team. I'm saying that with the hope that other teams aren't doing that, but who knows?
You can't control what the other teams are doing, but as long as we can control what we're doing As always, we're just taking it one game at a time, except on Vixens Live, because we're only on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. So we're taking it 1 week at a time, which now involves 2 games. Saturday afternoon, 1 o'clock, Channel 9 against the Swifts, and then Tuesday afternoon, 5 p.m. against the Giants. Telstra TV or the Netball Live app if you want to watch the mighty Melbourne Vixens in action. One of our favourite segments every week on Netball on Vixens Live is our quick fire segment. It's an absolute beauty. Last week we got to find out a little bit more about MJ. This week, someone who made her debut earlier on this season, let's find out a bit more about Taylor Honey.
Hi sister, how are you?
I'm good, thanks sister, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Would you mind if I ask you some questions?
Sure, go for it.
How are you feeling ahead of the season?
I am very excited to finally get the opportunity to walk out on court with my sisters.
What type of music would you be listening to before a match?
Anything with a pump up kind of vibe.
Favorite song?
Be Faithful.
In your sport bag, what are things you carry all the time?
I'll always have water in my bag, a bag of jelly beans and a spare pair of runners.
One place you are delaying to go?
I'm going to go to New York one day.
What was the last thing you baked?
Banana bread.
How would you stay motivated?
Seeing all of my wonderful teammates do great things.
One person you had on your own as a kid?
I was a big Hannah Montana fan as a child, so Miley Cyrus was definitely class that was my favorite.
What's your order of coffee?
I always get a Starbucks latte.
Number 1 fitness tips?
Stay hydrated so that you can get the most out of your workout.
To celebrate our win last night, we're giving everyone 15% of all kids' hoodies. If you're a member, it's even better. You get an additional 10% off. The offer ends midnight tomorrow. Members, just make sure you're logged into your account to get the extra discounts. Don't forget also to get behind us and become a Vixens member. Beyond the Court memberships are just $55. Receive exclusive member benefits, including a supporter pack, member-only content, and 10% off Vixens merchandise. How good seeing a little bit of quick fire. Wonderful interview by MJ there. And Taylor Honey, I didn't take her as a Miley Cyrus fan. There's something we didn't know.
I know. I feel like all of us who kind of grew up in the generation of Hannah Montana being on the TV, like, even if we don't admit it publicly, we're a little bit of a Miley Cyrus fan because that was such a big part of our childhood. You get the best of both worlds, you know?
Yeah.
You probably don't understand that reference, Pete.
It's better than singing your old man's achy breaky heart. Don't worry about that.
That's
not good. That's not good for any generation, nor the dance that goes with it. I'll tell you what is good, and that's the support and the members who get behind us. Do you read the messages? We always say that our team members love getting the messages. When you see the messages of support and the videos and the pictures, what does that mean to you being up in the hub, away from your friends and family, and those 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 supporters that normally pack out Melbourne Arena? What does it mean to a player?
Yeah, it's been really amazing, I think, having so many people tune in and watch us on the television, but then also show their support on socials. Obviously, we'd love to be back in Melbourne and playing in front of our crowd and also just being able to live our normal lives, but that's not what 2020 had planned. And I think a few of us were feeling really hesitant about what it was like to be coming up here, and obviously we live a bit more freely. The majority of our fans down in Melbourne or Victoria are currently, and we're still really thinking of them. But I think it's been really amazing for us to have the opportunity to play sport and at least be able to bring some kind of enjoyment via that, via the television screen. And I love seeing all the messages of support. I get plenty of snaps sent to me of people's cats and dogs wearing Vixens merch, which I always enjoy thoroughly. And also just like the really sweet messages about how we're able to bring light to so many people because, yeah, that's, you know, we love playing sport and we love being able to do it for our fans too.
Easily Australia's most athletic dog walker. There's no doubt about that. Let's have a look at some of the messages that have come through over the course of this week to hopefully keep us motivated as we go. Noel Holton has said, Kate Maloney is a machine. Come on, Vixens. That's very true. Mandy Hall, dinner
Yes,
is prepped.
it is.
Kids are busy. Mum time watching the Vixens with a vino. Sounds like a very good idea. Tiffany Gordon used the hashtag #GoVixens. May not be there physically, but we're certainly watching from our lockdown bubble. Make us proud and have a great game. Great to see that. Don't forget, you can follow the Melbourne Vixens on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook as well. Use the hashtags Vixens for Life and Vixens at Home. And you'll stay connected with our Melbourne Vixens. And make sure you're looking at Joe's and Emily's and all of the wonderful Instagram handles as well. There's just some of the things that you guys are coming up with. I don't know where you come up with it from, but gee, it's good to see. A really good insight.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we've had enough spare time, I think, to brainstorm some social media content. I do have one more up my sleeve, which we haven't been able to execute on just yet, but it's coming. I'm trying to think of what Emily Mannix's Instagram handle is, but I don't know. But mine is Joe_Weston. If you want to follow me, future PM of Australia, apparently. So get in at the ground level.
Get on board early. It's all going to be here. It's all upwards and onwards with our Prime Minister, John Weston. Now, every week, Joe, on Vixens Live, we have a competition through our social media channels, which opens up after the conclusion of Vixens Live. And tonight, we're asking for this competition, which Vixens player will take the most intercepts and how many will they get in round 8? You get to win a Telstra TV. Round 8, I mean, they all seem the same at the moment. Round 8 is this Saturday's game against the Swifts. The winner of the competition receives a Telstra TV. No doubt it'll come in handy. I love my Telstra TV. Wouldn't mind just having one in a different room either. So usually I get my co-host to give a prediction. We've had Ella, we've had B, Sherelle's tried it, Julie as well. But it's a bit hard because you're going to be on court. So we've got to predict who's going to get the most intercepts for the Vixens and how many. I'm going to go away with what we saw from last night, which was Emily Mannix with 8. I'm going to go Joe Weston with 5. Joe, can you do this for me? I need a Telstra TV. Can you get 5 intercepts for me against the Swifts?
I'd love to be getting 5 intercepts in the game on Saturday. I'll try my best, but I think I'll be coming up against some pretty stiff competition in Helen Housby, the England international. But I think I'm going to go with the most popular MVP currently in the season, which is Miss Kate Maloney. And because Swifts play this is my inside knowledge, Swifts play a very possession style form of netball. So it is quite hard to get the ball off them in terms of intercepts. So I feel like Kate might be able to pick up a couple more in that mid-court defensive pressure. So I'm going to go her and I'm going to go 3, a lower number, but hopefully we get much more than that. But I'm trying to go as accurate as possible.
We love the inside word. It's why it's great having a current player joining us. But I'm going to go Jay Weston 5. Bring over the Telstra TV. Away we go. And let's be honest, if you get 5 intercepts along with your little mate M Mannix, I reckon we might just be home and be 7-1 after round 8. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's plenty of hard work to be done before then. Joe, that wraps up another episode of Vixens Live. Thanks so much for being my wonderful co-host this evening. Hopefully you've enjoyed yourself.
No, thank you for having me. Obviously, I'm sure that the trajectory of co-host may go up again after having a slight dip with my illustrious presence, but who knows? I also have big feet, so whoever comes in next, they're big shoes to fill.
You fill most shoes pretty comfortably, don't worry about that. Before we do let you go, there's been a little video that's been released by the Victorian government for all of us that are in lockdown. And this one's a little closer to our heart than others. Let's take a look.
Oh, Sherry, what are you doing? Oh, I can't help it, it's my carpal tunnel. I am subbing you off. I tell you what, I am so over this lockdown. Playing netball against yourself is not all it's cracked up to be, especially when you still can't even win. But you know what? It's not the lockdown that's the enemy, it's the virus. And the sooner we obey the rules, the sooner this will all be over and we can get back to the stuff that really matters. Nettie. Subbing myself back in now. Oh no, Sharon, you're hopeless. I am not hopeless. I'm the most valued member of this team.
Authorised by the Victorian Government, Melbourne.
Just a little bit of fun there, but a serious message that goes with it. But Always good to see Sharon back out on the netball court. Have you got a message for Melburnians and Victorians who are in lockdown at the moment? Our Vixens family, Joe, you said quite rightly earlier on that you have been thinking of them and no doubt a few messages back and forth. But any messages for our Melbourne Vixens family before we let you go?
Oh, I mean, there's so many, and shout out to Sharon Straslecki and her team, the Sapphires. I'm a big Kath and Kim fan. That's probably no surprise to anyone watching, but I guess to everyone back in Melbourne, we're really thinking of you, and, you know, we really value everyone doing the right thing to try and stay safe and protect those who are most vulnerable. Obviously, you know, working through the lockdown and the virus numbers going down isn't going to happen overnight. It's about trying to be patient and waiting out, which is really tough when you're having to do it a second time around. But hopefully being able to watch the netball is keeping you entertained, and we are thinking of all of you down there. So stay safe and stay at home.
Future PM and current goal defence, wing defence, Joe Weston, and co-host of Vixens Live. Great to have you here, Joe. It's always wonderful to see you. Big thank you also to our partner, Puma Netball. You've got to see it to believe it. The hashtag is Witness Fearless, and you will see that again on Saturday at 1 o'clock against the Swifts, and then on Tuesday night, 5 o'clock against the Giants. Two big games before we'll see you again next Thursday on YouTube and Facebook for Vixens Live. Thanks very much for joining us. Stay home, stay safe, stay well, and go Vixens.
The all-new Nissan Juke, featuring Apple CarPlay. First, you disrupt conventions. Then you say, let's improvise.